So many couples feel like they have to have these long, deep conversations to feel close. And honestly, that's not really the way that intimacy is built over time with busy couples for whom life is life. And I thought of this today when I was talking to my husband, and I was like, oh, this would be a good one to share. So let's talk about it. I'm in the bedroom with my husband. We're chilling on our bed. And it's not going to be long before my toddler and even my daughter come running in to say something, to ask us a question, something. Something's about to happen. They don't give us a whole lot of time. So we have a few minutes where we're just cuddled up together. Our phones are down and we start talking about family. I don't even know how it came up. And it got deep. Like we were talking about relationships with family, relationships with siblings, challenging situations when a family member passes or is sick and you don't necessarily feel like you're going to break down, and what does that mean about you? But really there's a difference between having a relationship with someone and having a connection with them, right? We came to this conclusion in our conversation, and it was a beautiful conversation that lasted probably a few minutes. And I know this, but I didn't hone in probably enough to share, but I'm sharing that we do this kind of thing all the time. We have a few minutes where we're alone out here on the balcony, on the bed, on the couch, and the kids are doing their own thing. We lean in. And it's not a thing where we're like, okay, let's lean in, right? It's just organic curiosity. And so I want to share because this might be like a shift moment, right? For all of us. And I'm sure there was a shift moment for me, perhaps, that I wasn't aware of, but this is just our norm. And it could be any couple's norm. And that comes from a place of like genuine curiosity. After 17 years, I genuinely lead with curiosity questions like, oh, yeah, so how did you feel about that? When, your family and that happened with your brother, and he'll just start talking, and an anecdote will come up that he shared with me that maybe he shared with me before, maybe he hasn't, and this is something new that I'm learning, and vice versa. And I share things, and I share my thoughts and my struggles and my fears. Sometimes our conversations are dumb and goofy and silly and whatever, but they just happen. There's not this sense of like, let's sit down, let's talk, because when we put pressure on those conversations, then sometimes it doesn't allow for a connection. Mhm. The organic spontaneity, and I put that in quotes because a lot of times it's just getting in the habit of utilizing the moment and not wasting and not giving up or not being tuned out or unaware of all of the moments that you actually have to connect and to be in real curiosity driven, get to know you deep conversation that might only last a few minutes. Yes, there are going to be conversations that last longer. There will be things that you maybe need to hash out over several conversations, depending on what's going on in the relationship. But that everyday consistency over like the intensity of a conversation, starting with a genuine sense of curiosity after no matter how many X years, that is a place where intimacy lives. It's built on these micro moments of sharing deeply. People think I can't share what I'm afraid of or my fears in a few minutes. And the truth is you can. And the truth is it might get interrupted by a toddler that comes jumping on the bed and you, because this has happened. And sometimes you have to table that conversation for later. But you've planted the seed, and it was interesting. And the next time you have a moment, maybe you finally put everybody to bed and you're laying there and it's just like pillow talk moment, and you look over and you're like, yeah, so what you was saying earlier, like that really hit me. And that might all you need to say to spark the conversation back up. And you just lay there in the quiet of the evening and you finish your conversation with a little bit more peace than you had earlier because of your children talking about me and I'm sure others have experienced that as well, or because of something else that you had to do or you had to get to, something else is pulling on your time, right? So yeah, I definitely noticed how much we have a tendency to overthink and put too much on that deep conversation level of intimacy. But when we are in a space where we're aware that, look, yo, we're alone right now. Like the kids are actually occupied. One is doing something in their room, the other one is really into these blocks, and we can have a woosah moment. You don't have to wait for 30 minutes or 45 minutes or an hour. And we can be really obsessed with how much time we get as if that equates to the quality, but it's the curiosity, it's the consistency in the micro moments instead of the supposed or expected intensity of a deep, long conversation that's going to bring you together. Those things are beautiful. Those moments add up because I realize they happen with such ease, and they also foster a lot of trust and vulnerability. If we're in a situation with our partner where we feel like one or both aren't really being vulnerable and they're having trouble opening up, maybe it's because we need to utilize those micro moments. Maybe we need to let them know that it's okay to open up. Maybe we need to be the one to open up first in one of those quiet, like alone moments. Like, yeah, I don't know. I really noticed that I feel very anxious when I have more than three things on my to do list. And I think that's why I've been a little, I have had a little sense of paralysis lately with things we've had to do in the house. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there isn't a right time to sometimes bring up these things. The right time is, oh, we're here, we have a moment, we're alone. I've been feeling, I noticed this thing. If you're having trouble starting the conversation, sometimes it's just like, you know what, something I realized that I want to share. You know what I've noticed about, myself, or you know what, I have a question for you. I was always wondering how you felt about, you know, when your grandmother passed. Like we never really talked about that. And maybe they still don't want to talk about it. But the fact that you asked the question, the fact that you're thinking about it, the fact that you're thinking about them and how they may be feeling or processing, the fact that you're opening the door for them to be open to you and to be open with you is a big deal. And even if they're like, even if the answer isn't satisfactory to you, the fact that you've opened the door is going to stick. That micro moment is going to stick. Sometimes they don't walk through it. Sometimes folks aren't ready to walk through it. Think about times that people have asked you a question that you weren't ready to answer, you weren't prepared to answer. You were feeling, that were brought up too many feelings for you to answer, you were uncomfortable with it, or you know what, maybe you just didn't know the answer. Like, I don't know is an acceptable answer. I've never really thought about it like that. I haven't given this any thought, so I don't know how to answer that question. That is perfectly acceptable as well. And you've opened the door. It doesn't matter, like, if their answer isn't this profound thing. That is creating space for connection, intimacy in and of itself. When we close the door, then they're learning something from that too. That reveals something too. We can't always be attached to what it is they're going to say or what we hope they're saying. Like, oh, they're going to spill their guts if I ask this question. I literally will ask a question. I don't know if he's going to answer it or not. I don't know if he's going to go into silence. I don't know if he's going to shrug or he's going to, tell me the thing. A lot of times he'll tell me the thing and there's a story involved in it and he's sharing this. I'm just listening like I just met him, you know, and he's telling me about his life because a lot of times there's things that I haven't heard before. And that's the other thing. Sometimes when we're together, 17 years, 20 years, 25 years, you've been with somebody, for a long time, for decades, you can have a tendency to think like we can think, oh, I know you. And if we stay in a state of genuine curiosity, we get to continue to know the person as they grow into the person they're becoming. Because yeah, you knew 5 years ago person, but perhaps now there's been shifts in their perspectives and their thoughts, right? And I've talked about this on the channel before, but in the context of the intimate, deep conversations we feel we want to have. Like, I just wish my partner would open up to me. I wish my spouse would tell me things. I wish my spouse would let me in. These are the ways in which we do that. There's so many opportunities for it that a lot of couples have a tendency to miss because they have the expectation that it's going to be some scheduled, like, we've got to talk, when you're ready, like, let's talk about this thing. And I'm not saying sometimes there are moments where you need to have some, like, okay, no distractions, let's sit down and really get to this because it's that important, or it's time sensitive, or what have you. And there are many moments where you can just be in that moment and you can utilize that moment. A lot of times couples who feel like they don't have time to connect, where their partners are getting their leftovers and they're exhausted, and they're just not, they're ships that pass the night, and they don't feel like they're really growing with that person. They're just moving through life and paying bills and doing the things you have to do and taking kids here and there. It's not that they don't have the time, and it's not that they don't have the desire. It's often that it's just we're not looking at the moments that we have and taking those moments for what they are. Instead, we're waiting for a bigger moment. But that is your big moment. All those micro moments add up to your big moment because they add up to the breadth of your entire relationship, past, present, and to come, because you're setting a precedent for how you're going to move in your relationship. The openness, the the realness, the, like, yo, this is our life and it's crazy, and so we have this moment. Hey, I was curious, I wanted to ask you something. Or, you know what, I was thinking about blah blah blah, like, today in that moment. I was like, oh, that was so good. It was probably like 3 minutes before our kids came in. Oh, it was so good. We really, it was like we had a breakthrough moment together when it comes to, like, family relationships, sibling relationships, connection versus relationship, what that looks like for us, what that has looked like for us in the past. You can pack a lot in a few minutes when you're just having conversation casually without having expectations of one another or of yourself, and staying genuinely curious. So that's the big takeaway. If nothing else, can't remember anything else. Like, 'cause I feel like I at least said it 3 times. Let's say a fourth is genuine curiosity about the person you're doing life with. Asking questions to get to know and to connect, things that you're wondering, sharing things that you noticed about yourself, fostering that vulnerability, not interrogating, but just like really wanting to see what their thoughts are, what they think. So yeah, that's what I have for you tonight. Thank you for listening. I appreciate you. Thank you for the conversation. Let me know your thoughts down below. Let me know if anything from this video resonated with you down below. And for those of you who really want to have support and be in full environment and around having deeper connection with your partners and with yourself, meet me in the description. And for those of you who these kind of conversations are your vibe on YouTube and you want to vibe with me, if you're feeling this vibe, please subscribe and we can continue the journey together. But thank you. I appreciate you for your time tonight. And I'm gonna see you tomorrow.